Hello, everyone, and welcome to the VFLW Game Changers Show. I'm your host, Scoops, the sole admin of Scoops. Now, this episode is a very special episode for a very important reason. Now, in all the 4 years of me running a sports channel, podcasting, whatever you want to call it, I've never, ever had a co-host for one episode that is live where they've been on the podcast. So this has been in the works for a very long time, and I'm very honoured to announce a special guest co-host for this show at least. And, you know, let's introduce this person right here, right now.
Check side, here we go. We need magic this round. Oh, yes, there we go. Issy scoops it up. 4 scoops. And she gets it. See? You're scooping it up for Scoops. Good job. Mini torp left foot. You're opposite. Oh yes. Oh, yes. The reaction says it all easy. You're telling me. Yeah. Yeah, no, it wasn't too shit. It's such good shit. It's good shit.
Hello.
Well, there you go. Issy Hartog from the Sandy VFLW side. Issy, thanks for coming on.
Anytime. Happy to be here.
No worries. Now, what did you think of that intro? Now, well, speaking off camera, I didn't tell you what the clip was. What did you think about it? Did it pump you up?
Oh, I hate watching myself play, so a little bit
Really?
embarrassing. Yeah, I don't like watching myself play, so a little bit embarrassing, but no.
Mm.
It wasn't too bad. Got some good tackles in there, so.
No, absolutely. We've got to get a bit of everything easy now. It's been a pleasure to have you on. Now, obviously, how this show will operate is people should know we're going to go through our team of the week, well, my team of the week. We're going to talk about the games that have just happened and doing a preview of the weekend's games and everything else in between all that. But Issy, first, we're going to talk about you. Obviously, you made the crossover from Port Melbourne's VFLW side to Sandy this year. What kind of prompted that change of scenery?
Just literally just a change of scenery at the end of the day. Started talking to the coach, Lockie Harris, and just kind of wanted to get a bit of a change. Yeah, like I think I've said to you before, like love all the girls at Port Melbourne still, and they've gone through the ringer a little bit this year, which is not great for them, but I'm just loving the fact they keep putting great performances on the track every single week. But yeah, it's just more of a change of scenery. Kind of just wanted to see where I could take my footy at a different club. So yeah, that's pretty much the reason.
How have you found your time so far? Is it Sandy?
Absolutely loving it. All the girls are absolutely sensational. Like a few of the ex-AFLW girls, they're just bringing up the vibes, bringing up the like the skill level just an amazing amount, and just able to learn so much. And yeah, coach is really good, game day staff even better. So yeah, just absolutely loving it.
That's good. And now we'll ask you some more questions about yourself and the team and the everything across throughout this episode. Now, Issy, and now you know I've got a segment where it's kind of like a rant segment, but let's introduce you, shall we, with what I call the world famous, and it is world famous because the analytics, Issy, proved to me once that it's actually viewed in Italy, England, and other countries in the past. Whether it's a small percentage, it's a percentage nonetheless. It's the world famous segment. Scoops goes bang. All right, now the topic I want to bring up, and Issy, feel free to chime in at any point in time. It's the coverage of the competition. I feel like it's growing a lot now, right? But what I feel like is the coverage overall online, whether that's replays and everything like that, there isn't, as much coverage. And I feel like it needs to be covered a little bit more. Like, for example, with the games clashing all the time, you would think a perfect example would be, all the stats that come up, the replays would be pretty frequent in terms of, I know there is replays now, but like pretty quickly to the point where you can kind of like catch up on it. Because if it drags out over time, it may not help people. So I feel like the coverage of the competition as a whole needs to be covered a bit better. It's just frustrating too, because when you go to one game and then they're all on at once, you don't get to watch it until maybe 24 hours later. Then some people might not have time to do that. Then the whole week's passed, and then cover. What do you feel, Izzy, with the coverage of the competitions as a whole, online, just in general, and everything like that?
Honestly, I think there needs to be, yeah, I agree. There needs to be probably better coverage of it. Like I know it's even ground dependent sometimes on the type of coverage that we get
Mm,
on. So it's a little like it's not great for the viewer. Sometimes I feel like, yeah, you can definitely you can lose some moments because yeah, the coverage isn't that great. Even when it comes to like review and stuff, like we don't have some access to some angles and things like that sometimes, which
mm,
is not great. But yeah, like I definitely think in terms of scheduling could be a little bit
mm,
better. Like we've got a full week, and I know that they like to get them all done on a Saturday or something, which is completely
mm,
fair. But yeah, I think the scheduling could be a little bit better, just to allow people like yourself to get to a lot more games than just one a weekend or
mm,
something like that.
mm. For sure, yeah, yeah, that's definitely something that I've also said in the past on this show as well, and just in general. It's really hard, isn't it, to get to other games? Like for somebody in your case or any other player for that, man, they've got mates at other clubs, and if you want to watch them, if you're not competing against them, you probably can't, can you? Because it's all within the
Nah.
2 hours of each other, if not the exact same time. It's just frustrating, I feel.
Yeah, exactly. Or even my local club, like they've got a few girls at Port Melbourne, so they really like to get down and support there. But often their
Mm,
game clashes, and then if any of them want to come watch my game, like all the games kind of just run into each other, and then you've got to drive like an hour from one to the other. So yeah, like sometimes me personally, I don't get that many people to come watch my game because it clashes so much. So yeah.
mm.
Mm.
For sure. But anyway, that's just a mini rant for this week, Izzy. Now
Perfect.
it's interesting because I've never done a rant with anyone on a video before. Or I wouldn't call it a massive rant. I've done far worse. But it is what it is, especially in the AFL side of things. Now, Izzy, about the game on the weekend. Obviously, you've played a few games now for Sandy. After missing the first week, how's the transition been on the field, and how have you enjoyed so far being a part of the club?
Yeah, no, it was really great. First couple of weeks we had a lot of AFLW girls, and I was getting over a bit of an injury with my back. So it's been great. Like it was really nice this week just gone to just play with the VFLW squad.
Mhm.
The AFL girls have been absolutely amazing. They've added so much to our group, but it's nice to get to just having our girls because at the end of the day, that's what we're going to be going through with most of the year.
Yeah.
And hopefully, fingers crossed into finals. So yeah, it's nice to get a few girls getting their debut last week, sorry. So yeah, really good. Like it's been a really good transition even from preseason to what we're implementing on game day. So yeah, still a lot of growth that we've got going, but yeah, it's been really good so far.
That's good. Obviously, with having AFLW players in the team itself, whether it's for 2 weeks, 1 week, whatever it is, I'm sure that's good for the club as a whole to have some experience and maybe being at training sessions and everything like that. But do you feel though for the players that are, how do I put it, on the fringe of being selected, and then or they're just in the side and they're going to fall out within plays in that it kind of impacts sometimes some people's decisions on where they want to go, knowing that some AFLW aligned clubs might take more players in 1 week or for a 3 week patch like the Bulldogs have done so far in Carlton,
Mm.
and it can kind of impact your thought process in where you want to go.
Yeah, we I think with Sandy and St Kilda, they gave a lot of transparency very, very, very early on. Like
Hmm.
probably post Christmas, like first couple of weeks, it was we always knew the first 3 weeks would be an AFLW. Like we would have AFLWs in players in there. Like first two
Yeah.
weeks we had I think 12 and then 10 in there. So quite a few plays, and then the third week only had two. But yeah, like I think at the end of the day, it all for us it was transparency. So a lot of the girls already knew. And obviously around
Mm,
selection, it's never great if you don't get picked or if you're emergency or something like that. But I think a lot of the girls know that it's not like at the end of the day, like we're playing VFL, so the AFLW girls come down, they're in AFL for a reason. So yeah, they've got to come down and
mm,
slot in somewhere. Um, but I think it comes to a lot of how they fit into our group, which they like
mm,
all the girls have been there since start of preseason, training alongside with us, whether it's just skills or whether it's just yeah, having a kick and being down. So that definitely helped a
mm.
lot with a lot of the selection not drama, but a lot of the selection
Mm,
choices and things like that. So it was, yeah, it made it a bit easier knowing they were always around and
mm,
up for a chat and up for a bit of a joke and a bit of a kick and stuff. So
mm.
yeah.
Yeah. So when the AFLW players were they? Correct me if I'm wrong, but some of them were at trainings, and then how was it like to kind of like train them, even if you weren't playing with them on the field, to be amongst them in the time they were there?
I just love their intensity. I'm a
Mm,
pretty like intense individual when I'm training as well. So
mm,
I like the intensity and the professionalism that they bring. So
mm,
yeah, it was just great. And it's also nice to hear in a training situation, their experience, like they're bringing in a lot more experience, a lot more layers um than just like kicking a footy around, which is nice. And yeah, so it
mm.
was nice to have their experience in training. You can stop, have a chat, and ask them some questions even to develop your own game. But yeah, that was
Good.
yeah, a bit of
Now,
insight.
so something that I've noticed for you individually is you've taken something from Port Melbourne and you've taken it to Sandy, and that's donning the long sleeve Guernseys, which they look
Yes.
pretty cool. Why is that something that you've continued to do, or why is it something you've started? Because it seems to be a pretty ritual thing for you. I feel like I get
Yeah.
superstition in a way.
Little bit. I just find more comfort in it.
Mm.
Kind of, I don't know, I've played footy in a couple of states now, being Queensland and
Yes.
Northern Territory, and in both quite hot states. So I get quite cold quite easily.
Mm.
Even if it is like a bit of a 25-degree and sunny type of day, I still get quite cold. But I'm also quite pale. So I get sunburnt very, very easily and
Mm.
kind of want to just protect myself as much as possible. But I don't know, it makes me feel like I can play better. It makes me feel more, I don't know how to put it. It's just, I don't
Mm.
know, I put it on, I'm like, okay, that's game day. Whereas like at training, I'm in, we're in our little short sleeve jerseys and stuff. Like some
Oh yeah.
some of us have long sleeves underneath, but I don't feel as game day ready. Even in
Yeah.
Queensland, I wore the long sleeve a few times. So yeah, it's always nice to feel the long sleeve on. I feel like I'm game day
Mm.
ready, and yeah, that's pretty much the ritual.
Mm. That's all right. That looks pretty cool too. And not many players do continuously, at least, have long sleeve Guernseys on. So I feel like they look better in general as well.
Personally, same. I know last year with Port Melbourne, they did an amazing, Indigenous design,
Hmm.
and both me and I think Lauren Caruso had long sleeves, and
Hmm.
we had a bit of an extra little design on the sleeves, which was pretty cool. No other players got it. So, yeah, it was nice to yeah, the long sleeves are just great. I don't know which one is better. Personally now, I'd say Sandy, but also
Yeah.
Port Melbourne's one was absolutely
Mm.
sensational. So, yeah.
For sure. Now, there's not too far away until Sandy plays Port Melbourne. If all
Yes.
cards go to plan and you're in that game and everything's going well, how would it be to face the old side? Would it be a bit awkward? Would it be just another game of footy? How would you feel going into that?
Well, we talk about we last night at training, we spoke about
Mm,
our next 4 weeks, which is Willie this week, we've got Port the week after, and then we've got Collingwood and then a
mm,
bye. So we are focusing obviously directly on this week with Williamstown. They're such a strong team, and like
mm,
minor premiers last year, you can't really argue with that. Um,
yeah.
and then a couple of us, well, both Sophie Locke and I have played for Port Melbourne, so I think it'll be a nice rendezvous. Nice to see some of the girls again. Since training's kind of picked back up, not been able to have any coffee catch ups or anything like that, but kind of
Mm,
excited. I think it'll be good because I know that they're a skilled side and they're a competitive side, so it'll be really nice to
mm.
yeah be able to play up against a club like that.
For sure. And you mentioned not too long ago before, Izzy, on here that you mentioned about the ex AFLW players on the list, and there's so many of them, and I think that can be a good thing. You got some ex Pies, Imogen Evans, Erica Fowler, Ellery Morris, then ex Hawk Sophie Locke, who you're good mates with, you tell me, and then Jordan Membry of ex Sun as well. And I'm probably forgetting one or two more. There's so many of them. What's it been
Yeah.
like to have all those players that have come and played in that AFLW level and may potentially go back there over time, to have them also help the side and be new to the side as well?
Yeah. Well, I think there was only about 5 to 10 girls left over from the Southern Saints team from last year, so
Yeah.
we've all been quite a new side coming in, which is good. But in terms of those girls, I think it's similar to the AFLW girls that dropped down and play with us,
Mm,
their intensity at training, and their deliberate practice is something that I admire, and it's something that I feel like everyone can learn off. And even just their skills, um, you're able to, yeah, play off them because they've got really good skills and stuff like that. So they just bring up I don't know, like the level of training, they bring it up like tenfold. So
mm,
it's nice to always have those girls around. And even like just their experience on when it comes to like the mental side of things as well. Like even if you guys were like selection, they're going talking to some of the younger girls and like being like, look, like this is an experience I had, like, yeah, which is really nice to have those kind of
mm,
experienced heads around, especially
mm.
especially E being she's vice captain, so it's so good to have her around and be in the
Mm.
leadership group. So yeah.
Sure. Now we'll move on to some more questions about the team shortly, but now it's going to go. Let's go through my team of the week now. Izzy did have a
Yes.
brief preview of this just before we hit record, so let's go through it right now, shall we? So
Yeah.
from the back pockets, a fair few Sandy teammates. So what a week to come on.
Yeah.
In the pockets, we got Cleo Butterfin from the Bulldogs and Steph DeMeo from Carlton. Fullback,
Yeah.
guess who? Ellery Morris. Surprise, surprise. The half back line, Brittany Gutschneck and Molly Eastman. Centre half back, Jamaica Douglas. Wingers, Talia Sanger and fellow Sandy. Winnie Lang. Centre woman, Imogen Evans, another Sandy. Half
Yep.
forward line, Gloria Sultry, another Sandy. And the other half forward line, Abby McDonald, bomber. Emily Shepherd, centre half forward. That's another Sandy one. Forward pockets, Elaine Grigg and Bree McFarlane, both from the Bulldogs. And full forward, also from the Bulldogs, Emma McDonald. Geez, the Bulldogs and Sandy, well, I don't know what you call it, but a lot of them are in the side.
Domination. Yeah.
Domination, that's the word. Thank you. I can't believe I didn't think of that. The ruck, again, here we go again, Erica Fowler. Now we're going to individually mention Anne Gogas for a second, Izzy. 17, we're talking about this after the game in Geelong, 17 clearances with 33 disposals. Amazing. She's obviously been on the Bulldogs list before in the past, an AFLW list that is, and just at her age to do that, and for anyone at any age to do that is outstanding, and they got the win in the end, and obviously one of the difference makers with Darabin.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, she was definitely a name that popped up in our review before we played Darabin. So I feel like she's nearly a household name in all the VFLW change rooms at this point. Whenever you come up against Darabin, you know what you're gonna get, but she still finds a way to catch everyone out, and she brings something new every week, which is just a credit to her. And I think especially on the weekend to help her side to a win, a late win that is,
Yes.
amazing from her.
For sure. The other midfielder is Charlotte Ryan from the Roos, another one that had a terrific game. On the interchange, Amy Trinidad from the Blues, Keely Hardingham, another Bulldog, Brooke Vickers from Carlton, Renee Turney from North Melbourne, and from Geelong, from Sandy, against Sandy on the weekend, Abby Vaffel. Now, Izzy, obviously you first-hand saw Abby through the midfield when you played through there. A very good player at Geelong.
Yes, very much so. Hard nut as well. I actually thought Geelong played a lot better than what the scoreboard showed. They're a lot better team than what the scoreboard ever shows. So I think it's good that there's at least one or two of the girls in there.
Mm.
They're a skillful side. Like, they're all pretty skillful players, and I think they're just a young side. So I think once they get over the bit of a bump of rebuilding and everything like that, I think they'll be a very tough side. Yeah.
For sure. Now, on the long list of emergencies, I always find it most weeks easy to find it very hard to have a long list of emergencies. So they include Talia Mayer from North, Sophia McCarthy from Carlton, Monique Di Matteo, which we'll get to shortly, from Darabin, Lily Rose Williamson from the Pies, Meg McDonald from Casey, Jess Fitzgerald from the Dogs, another one, Stacia Stevenson from the Hawks, and Emily East from Williamstown. Now, I'll put that up for the people on the screen if they want to have a look. So that's what we have there. Two players that I thought, outside of Ange goes, they were really good games. Is Talia Sanger from the Pies, who I think in her first year of VFLW is he averaging over 20 disposals in 4 games is pretty damn impressive. And a player when people play against Collingwood to watch out for through that midfield. And obviously your own teammate, the vice captain, as you mentioned, Erica Fowler. Obviously someone that's played a few roles, Izzy, at Collingwood in the AFLW when she was there for her career there. What does she bring on the field? Obviously, you talked about leadership before, but adding into the ruck, but I feel like it's a position she hasn't really played at AFLW level and seems to just be relishing it right now.
She's just a strong player over the footy. Like, she's even got the ability to pick up ridiculous ground balls. So she's really versatile. Like, we can throw her forward, we can throw her back, we can throw her in the ruck. She's just always there and she's always competing.
Mm,
She's an absolute competitor, and then her skills are there to match as well. Like, you can't really argue with her. So, along with her leadership that I said before that she provides, she's just,
mm,
yeah, an insane player to learn off. And yeah, you kind of just everyone kind of stops and listens when she starts to speak. So it's really nice.
mm. For sure. Now, I'll just quickly go through some of the players in here for how they went. Now, obviously, you see, Jamaica Douglas was a player at North who's missed out on being drafted last. She had a really strong game in Box Hill, as you would know, a very strong and good opposition. So to have 19 disposals in your first year at VFLW level and have like 8 intercept possessions in the back line is obviously a credit to her. And I've mentioned a few others as well. Now, some other players that aren't former AFLW players I want to bring up. Chloe Soldier, I thought another player that for your side is he had a really good game and has played a good year so far, playing up forward, kicking 2 goals for nice reward.
Oh, definitely.
Mm,
Salts will be very, very humble with what she says. She said that
mm,
she's a backliner at heart, but I think that nearly makes her um just as good forward. I know she knows what to do to annoy the backliners, and she knows how to attack. So yeah, it's been a strike of genius by the coaching staff to chuck her forward. She was very nervous her first game in against Carlton,
mm,
but she definitely took with both hands and is kicking snags and setting up goals. So
mm,
yeah, you really can't argue with her at the moment. She's putting in the hard
mm,
yards at training as well. Really good person to talk to, and she's just a little sponge as well. Like,
mm.
she just takes in everything that she needs. So
For sure. And now we were talking off camera about this as well. Ariana Clark had a nice celebration that was I half captured and half had a trainer or water person or doctor. I don't know who they were, what role they were playing. But jumped in front of my vision. Now we've always talked about when we've done 2 goal kicking challenges. I love goal celebrations this year, which you know pretty well
yeah,
by now. And I love seeing these. I don't care what it is. I like seeing it. It's something different. The chainsaw. I
yes.
love it.
Yeah, oh, she said it was a bit of a lawnmower. I think she
Oh,
needed a few
lawnmower.
girls to
Okay.
follow the lawnmower, but yeah, maybe I'll get her to bring out the chainsaw this week. She was talking about it in the sheds before we went out, and she was like, "Yeah, if I score a goal, I'm doing the lawnmower." So
Lawnmower.
yeah, a bit of an interesting one, but she's a great unit to have around the group. So yeah,
Mm.
it was a good laugh to have in review last night.
Sure, and another one, another debutante, Chloe Bailey. It was nice to someone that says that she was playing as the backline before she came across to Sandy, and she forward might be her thing, and that was a great passive. That chain we spoke about it as well, but that started with you, or actually started Valerie Morris on film. It started with you, and then it went to Imogen Evans, and then it went to Tashan Whistle, and then it went to the sport from Emily Shepherd, and I think it went to Sultry, and then it went to Chloe Bailey. That was a great passage to play.
Oh, 100%. She was very happy to get that goal. It's always nice when you get the first goal off, like, monkey off the back for your first goal. Personally, still yet to do that, but no, I think it was good for Bells to get a goal in there. Definitely get her confidence up. Yeah, like you said, she's normally a backliner. She's probably played everywhere on the field other than forward. But yeah, she's been everyone's been quite dedicated. Anyone who's getting a debut is really dedicated to their craft and is just really working for it. Like, yeah, especially, yeah, talking to Bales on the drove her home.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
she was quite happy, and she was just, yeah, just happy to be in the game and around the girls, and definitely get one on the scoreboard was nice.
Sean, I just realised while we're talking then, Kiara Henry was also a part of that chain. That chain just didn't stop. It was a
No.
long list of names with a long chain as well. Now, in terms of this weekend's game, so we didn't go through this weekend's game, or preview the weekend's game, sorry, rather. It was an interesting round near the end. We're going to start off with the game where it involved Darebin, which had effectively a kick after the siren victory over Collingwood 26-23. Now, obviously, you were playing at the same time, so it's hard to kind of talk about it. But
Yeah.
when we saw each other on the weekend, from the end of the game, though, it must be bloody impressive for a side that we were just trailing the whole game, Darebin, and they picked the win late. Monique Di Matteo for a set shot from 35 out directly in front, a nice goal, and get the win. And I know they're up and about it, so they should.
I think it's great. They're a hard team to play against. They always turn up and they always put in 110% effort. and I know Collingwood are a hard team. They've recruited really, really well, so would have
Mm.
been a cracking game to watch. Would have really liked to get a glimpse of it, but yeah, I think both teams, you can never count them out. Like, I mean, in the men's, Collingwood are always coming back, so
Yes.
yeah, you've got that. But yeah, Darebin are always such a hard team to play against. They never let you have an easy one. So yeah, it
Mm.
was nice to see them get a win. Yeah.
For sure, and I feel like just as a whole too, Collingwood again, as you said, they recruited very heavily, and it's great that they've done that. But sometimes I feel like some sides could feel like bringing in players like that, it could just guarantee wins, and it doesn't, and that probably showed it this season so far for them because they probably struggled. And I had them, I think, fourth in my ladder position, so that's probably the only one I've stuffed up so far. But at the
Mm.
moment, good change. But yeah, I feel like though Lily Rose Williamson, Molly Eastman, Courtney Jones, just to name a few ex-AFLW players, have done well individually. But as a team, and Tali Sanger in their first year player in the VFLW comp done really well. But outside of that, I don't think they have shown what they can do, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's about new players, and maybe you can talk about that with a new list. You said about 5 to 10 players at Sandy staying there. Yeah, I don't know what's happened so far, but they probably would be disappointed with the way they've gone so far. I think they're 1-3, I think, and it's probably a disappointing start for them.
That nearly makes me nervous, to be honest, because I know the coach, Tom Cashin, he will be probably reading the riot act to them. I know he holds his girls very, very highly, to a very high standard, sorry. So nearly makes me nervous going in, versing them in a couple of weeks. Yeah, it makes me more nervous than anything because you know what they're capable of, and yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah, lots of the girls that you've just said, a lot of them have so much potential and so much ability, and it's kind of scary to know that they probably haven't hit their straps yet. So
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised by that at the moment, but that's that. Now, the game that involves yourself and Sandy. Geelong 17, Sandringham 66. A nice 49-point victory. Now, you mentioned just before, and I was speaking to Ellery Morris after the game as well, they feel like, that you Geelong were better than what the scoreboard showed. Why do you feel it's that? Because I feel like for the majority of part, felt like you were all in control for the majority of that. How did you assess that overall?
They bring really good pressure, and they kind of catch you out in your positioning, especially in the midfield.
Mm-hmm.
They open the front of the stoppage really nicely, so they're able to get through and kind of surge forward, which is really good.
Mm.
A lot of their young girls have really good skills. Like it's probably just that little finesse that they're missing, but other than that, like that's probably all that's hurting them at the moment. They kind of miss that little finesse, and they come up against. I mean, they had Woodsy in this side, but
Yes.
like we've got about 6 ex-AFL girls, so it's hard when you then come up against a team like that. And then a few of us have played quite a few seasons of VFLW, and
Yeah.
compared to Geelong, they've probably got a few new girls, young girls as well. So it's all about
Mm.
the intensity though, and it just didn't feel like it dropped at all. And then as soon as we dropped the ball a little bit in the third quarter, they came back and scored 2 goals. So
Yes, they did.
it 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 sh it shows that they can turn around and score really quickly. So, they're definitely not a team to take lightly, put it that way.
Mm. Yeah, sure. Now, personally, obviously, on the weekend, with going through this little quiz gaming on the weekend, I said, all right, what's the stats this week? And the first week you thought you were a bit less than what it was, and then the weekend you thought it was a bit more. So it was a little bit different this week. So what is your role is in the team? Is it more of a pressure forward to pinch it in the midfield, or what is your exact role?
Yeah, definitely against Carlton, it was definitely that pressure
Mm.
forward. So, it's something that I've always prided my game on, being really high pressure forward. But midfielder at heart, I've always played in the midfield. So yeah, I was able to get a bit more of a run in the midfield this week. Got a bit lost at times.
Hmm.
Obviously not playing there at all this season as of yet. So it was a bit different to be in that group. But then had
Yeah.
a bit of a pinch hit in the forwards in the third quarter. But definitely that high forward that kind of stalks the stoppage situation. I like setting up goals more than scoring them,
Hmm.
obviously, because I haven't scored one yet. But yeah, that's kind of the role that I'm playing this year, which I really enjoy. It's a high vibe type of position,
Mm.
both in the midfield, both in the forward. So I really love it.
That's good. A few players that we've mentioned or haven't mentioned yet. Imogen Evans, obviously another one of those players that we talked about that come across from an AFLW club a few times. What kind of has she brought to the group? Obviously been a key part so far this year, clearly performing really well in the midfield, and that's obviously someone that you've played alongside through that midfield.
She brings intensity tenfold.
Mm,
She drives her legs and is just an explosive player. She
mm,
loves to, like, gets the chat going as well in there. So she's a really good leader, really good game day leader, I think. Like, you've got your leaders off the field, you've got your leaders during game day, but I think if you're, especially when it's like all the chips are down, or you're getting really stressed through the game, or they've just scored two quick goals on you, like, what are we going to do from there? And yeah, she really stood up on the
mm,
weekend, and after, in that third quarter, when they scored those two goals, she really was like, girls, what are we doing? We need to get on the move, let's go back to our processes. And it was really, really cool to see.
for sure. Right, the next game to go through, which is the Western Bulldogs 79, a big win over Casey, 1465 points. Well, we're talking about the sides with lots of AFLW players, and they've played them all season. Yes, they were a side that made the grand final last year and still are a good side, but they've had a lot of changeover in terms of their VFLW listed players. I know Dom Carbone, who was their captain, shipped across to the Pies. There's so many more that have left. Jamie Henry went back to WA. There's a few other players as well. So they're a side I feel like we don't know the real Bulldogs in terms of what's going to come out yet, because it's effectively been an AFLW side the whole season so far. But in Casey, obviously, a side that's probably struggled and also had not many AFLW players, if any, for the most part of these first 3 weeks. How would you assess these two sides? And Bulldogs, obviously, with the AFLW talent in this game, not a real surprise.
Uh, I think a lot of the AFL girls that they did have were like a lot of the younger girls, which is taking absolutely nothing away from them. But a lot of the
Mm,
girls that they still had in from their VFL squad are very good players, and they are very,
yeah,
very intense players. Played against them for a couple of years now. You just know what they're going to bring in. You know what the Bulldogs are going to bring at it. Like, they've not changed their coach at all, so
no,
you know what they're going to bring week in, week out, and that's going to be like the intensity, the pressure. That's what a lot of teams are building their teams off. It'll be interesting to see if they change their game plan from last year, given the high turnover. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah, especially with the AFLW girls going through, it's not a surprise that they got the big W. But
Mm,
yeah, it'll be cool to see what they're able to continuously bring, because last year they had their AFLW girls come through, and then they just kept going up. So it'll be
mm.
really exciting to see what they're able to do.
For sure, and they've got a none bigger task this week than facing the reigning premiers in the grand final rematch against the Roos at
Exactly.
Arden Street. So that'll definitely be one to watch. Now, just back to you for a second. What is one of the grounds, Izzy, that you've enjoyed playing at the most? Obviously, you played at your fair few grounds, ETU Stadium. Obviously, they've had name changes. Played at Icon Park as well, at Deakin Uni. What's some of the grounds that you've enjoyed playing at the most?
Um, I don't know. I do love playing at ETU Stadium. That was a love of
Mm,
mine. Playing at
yeah,
Port Melbourne, it's such a picturesque ground. Like, you've got the old
grandstand.
grandstand up there,
Yeah.
yeah, looking over the city, over the field, and you've got this Andridge Centre, with all the members in it and stuff. So it's always a really cool ground to play at. I don't think I get to play there this year, um,
Mm,
but then also playing at Trevor Barker is pretty cool. I don't think a lot of teams like playing there because of the wind, but
mm.
like, it's home for us. So I think you've always got to enjoy playing there, and we know what it brings, and it's always nice to play at home.
Sure. Any grounds in Queensland when we were up there that you enjoy playing on? Any known grounds? Hmm.
um, the Bond University ones were always good to play at. Always just well kept, everything like that. I left the year that Southport came in, so I've never played at their ground.
Okay.
Oh no, I did. We played against Southport, but we never played at their ground. Sorry, that was my bad.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, nothing. Loved Queensland footy. Nothing to the extent that Victoria does it. Victoria just does it different. Definitely in the Northern Territory, though, I've got a few favourites. But I played
Mm-hmm.
at TIO a few times, which
Oh,
was
nice.
an absolute, played a grand final there, which is pretty cool, and it echoes,
Mm,
so it's absolutely
mm,
crazy. And then Gardens Oval, it's where Waratah Footy Club
mhm.
play their home games. That's a pretty cool ground to play on. Especially when the sun sets just over the back of the goals, and you can see that while you're playing. It's pretty
Mm.
cool.
Very good. That's good to. I did not know that. Now, actually, I'm gonna actually this as well. Nicknames, Izzy. I've always called you Izzy, and I've always thought that was your nickname. But being at these games the last few weeks, Izzy, that's not what I hear. They even call you
No,
Toggy.
no, they call me Togs. It's actually a
Yeah.
nickname that I got from the Northern Territory. Um,
Okay.
they were there was another Izzy on the team, and I relinquished my Izziness.
Oh yeah.
So they were going through a few different nicknames. Family calls me Belle, so I just no
Oh
one
yeah.
ever really has called me Belle, other than the family. But they
Yeah.
went through just saying my last name, that didn't really work. A little bit harder to sound on the field. Um, they were gonna call me Hoggy, as in like a
Oh
hog.
yeah. Yeah.
But then we went against that, and then also in Queensland, they often call like swimmers or bathers togs.
Oh yeah.
So along along with that and my last name, they kind of were like, you know what, let's go with Tog, and then it just ended up being Togs, Togger, Toggy, pretty much anything that goes along with that. So
Mm,
it's stuck for a few years now, which is quite
mm,
nice. It's a bit different. Lots of
mm.
people go between the two, but especially in the team, it's definitely Togs.
Okay, interesting. I don't know where I'll go, but yeah, there we are. Now, the next game to go through, which was Carlton and Essendon, or at Windy Hill, Essendon Carlton. Essendon 49, Carlton 22. Essendon by 27 points. Gee, they probably surprised people. I suppose I know they had AFLW plays the first two games, but they've shown when they've left, they've still continued to be very, very strong.
100%. Yeah. Um, no, it was sorry, was that Carlton and who, sorry?
Yeah, Essendon 27-point victory
Yeah.
over Carlton.
Carlton, yeah, Essendon
Mm,
they're being really consistent this year, which is really nice to see because I know that they've got some absolute guns of players in there. They're building quite nicely. I think, um, yeah, last year I think they, a bit iffy, but I think this year they've got
Yeah.
consistency back. And just seeing even a few plays that they did during the game, looks like they've got connection back as well, which is really, really nice.
For sure. Let's just say there was a player for Essendon in, I think it was the first round of the season. They kicked 22 or had. So let's just say, Izzy, there was a certain player at the Bombers who we're not going to name names, but you can draw a conclusion when you hear the stats. You can just check the stats. A certain player, I want to change the number up a little bit. They had kicked a goal or may not have kicked a goal, had about 20 odd disposals, had good impact in the game, and was dropped. I find that interesting how you can have pull numbers out like that and then we're dropped. Not unavailable, not injured, not suspended, dropped. I thought, wow. And they won. More the reason not to drop someone, probably. Generally, that's how it
Mm.
works. I find that interesting. They finally have come back in recent weeks. But yeah, I found that a bit interesting. But here you go. Right. But Carlton, now obviously, you know a little bit about them because you only played them just last week prior to Geelong. Obviously, they had some AFLW players playing, and they had them on the weekend again.
Yeah.
How did you feel, Carlton? Because I thought, like in that game, it was a low-scoring affair, but they made you
Yes.
work for it, Carlton. And Polly going in, at least from my side, I didn't feel like that was going to be the case, but they definitely pushed us to the very end, and it could have gone either way, that Carlton game.
I've always had, whether I've played for Port and now Sandy, I've always had a really tough go against Carlton. They're always a tough team to play. Like they, you think one week that you've got it over them, but you never really do because they've got such good players and they've got really good tanks. Like when we played against them, they were able to, just run out the game as well. Like very
Mm,
stressful being on the bench for the last 2 minutes. Calves started cramping, and so I had to hold a few hands because I was getting that stressed. But yeah, they're
mm,
just a very fit team, and they're able to run out a lot of games really, really well. And just they've got a
mm,
lot of tall players as well, so their intercept marks and their intercept possessions and um their rebound attack is very, very good, which has
mm.
caught us out a few times, not being set up correctly. So yeah, they're a very good side. I think a lot of the teams, I think, even lower down the ladder, they haven't shown what they're really capable of yet, which is a little bit, well, like I said, it's scary. Like Collingwood, you know the players that are on their list, and you're like, it's getting a
Okay.
bit scary that they've It's like a sleeping lion, I think. It's a sleeping giant. Yeah, it's a bit scary to
Mm.
know what some of the clubs are gonna produce later in the season.
For sure. We talk about the Lions. Gee, just a quick side note, your Brisbane Lions are going to interesting on the weekend, is he? Jeez. A
Oh,
draw.
mate, we don't talk about it.
No,
We
we
don't
don't.
talk
Yeah.
about it, and we don't. I'm pretty mad about it.
I would
They
be
give
too,
me a heart
considering
attack.
that. Yeah, didn't they? They giant escape, I would call that. But anyway, now speaking of their opposition, but in the VFLW side of things, North Melbourne, gee, how good are they? North Melbourne 61, Box Hill 27. I tell you what, going in a 34-point victory to North, I thought this was line ball. I didn't expect the margin to be like this, but that just shows how strong and speak of dangerous and scary North Melbourne can truly be, because Box Hill aren't bad at all, and North gave them a hiding.
Well, Vauxhall top of the ladder, weren't they?
Yeah.
Little
Oh.
shocked. I was
Mm,
shocked because a few of us on the way home from Geelong and speaking before we all left to go home,
mm.
we were like, okay, like if North Melbourne win, we're clean top
On
of the
top.
ladder.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. I thought it was gonna be a really, really tough game. I'm a
Mm,
a little bit shocked that it ended up being like that because Box Hill have played so well the last few weeks.
I have, yeah.
So it was, yeah, kind of shocking checking the score and seeing the outcome, but, I can only guarantee that it didn't probably reflect the game. But yeah.
It was actually nice to actually watch a game that wasn't clashing with something else. See what I mean? Now I can actually watch something, whether
Yeah.
it's on the phone or whatever, when it's separated and in days. You can actually watch more than one.
Exactly. Oh, just
Mm.
ends up being better in that, like, say, have a morning game and then an afternoon game. It's not
Mm.
bloody ridiculous and have 3 at the same time.
Sure. I mean, and we talked about my team the week before. It was stocks filled with North players as well, because they're just a strong side for a reason. And individually, off the top of my head, Charlotte Ryan, who's been a player that's come into the side because they've lost a few players to AFLW clubs. Tessa Boyd, who was at Sandy, Southern Saints, whatever, last year. And obviously now she's officially at the Roos AFLW side. So they got a lot of good players. They've lost some. They've gained some. They've gained a few ex-AFLW players as well. Jen Lawson Tavern, who just reached game 100 last week in the VFLW comp, which is obviously a terrific milestone for her. And yeah, North were on fire from the start. Now, the last game to go through from terms of the weekend was the two strongest women's VFW side, non-AFLW alignment sides, Williamstown and Port Melbourne. Obviously, a side, one of them at least that you know so well. Williamstown 27 to Port Melbourne 37, 10-point victory to Port Melbourne. How would you think of that? Two sides that could always go either way.
Williamstown will be livid, I can tell you that.
Mm.
They always talk about so much history that goes on between those two clubs, especially. So Paul would have been ecstatic to, because I know that they were down. I'm pretty sure coming into
Yes.
the second half. So that was that. It'd be, yeah, they'd be very happy with that win. And Williamstown will be absolutely livid, which makes me nervous going into this week. Knowing that I'm facing them. Um, yeah, I have no doubt it would have been a tough game. It's always a tough game against Williamstown, and Port always bring their A game pretty much. So even if they
Mm-hmm.
don't get the win, they always bring their A game, and yeah, their players obviously turned around and played out of their skin. So yeah.
For sure. Now let's go give it predictions for this week's game, Susie. So the first game to go through, I will say these doesn't really help that the majority, if not all of these games, bar one, are on Saturday, and almost all of them, bar two, clash. So that's just great. The first one, it's probably going to be a weekly thing for me to bring that up. Saturday until it changes. Saturday, 12:35 p.m. at Icon Park. We have Carlton hosting Darabin. Now, Izzy, this one could go either way. I've been tossing and turning this game based off the weekend's games so much. I'll start with you. Where do you feel like this game may go? And if you want to throw a margin in.
I don't know. Darabin coming off the win that they've come off, it's
Mm,
exciting for them because they probably have realised the type of footy that they can play, and what it feels like to get an exciting win like that. But in saying that, like I said, Carlton are such a consistent side. They wouldn't be happy about the loss that they had, so they'd probably be able to come
yeah,
back and get the win. I think it'll be. I'm gonna go for a close one. I think it'll be possibly a Carlton win. But I wouldn't be surprised if Darabin got up.
Yeah, this is a really line ball one. I did say before I would mention this. Monique Di Matteo, that goal is pretty impressive. 35 metres in front. You can't go much wrong on that. And that's no matter what level, what occasion, it's always a special moment to have a moment like that.
Yeah, it's you say 35 straight out in front, but we've all seen those ones shanked. So,
Oh yeah,
especially with
I
the
would
game
know.
on the line. Oh yeah, like it's just absolutely. It's kind of stuff that you dream about doing in any type
Mm,
of level. So for her to turn around and do that and to get her team to win, I know she would have been happy with that. And all the girls
mm,
would have got around her as well. So it's kind of yeah. I
mm.
wouldn't like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened again. But yeah,
For sure. And obviously, a player that's come across from Carlton or was on their AFLW list, played for their VFLW side for a while, is
yes.
Lulu Beattie. Has done very well for Carlton while she was there. And then obviously now back at her original home club in Darebin. I reckon I've only had her on recently, so I feel like this will be extra spice for her against her old side, but not her old side, but is her old side against her former old side, who's now her current side, if that even makes sense. But yeah, so that'll be, I'm sure, very interesting for her. And someone who's started again after coming across from Carlton, that's done very well while coming back to the VW comp. But I want to go Carlton by 5 points. I think even with those AFLW players that will likely go, Amy Trinidad is another player, young player in that midfield. I think she was called a Cannons captain. I think she was in the under-18s last year. So someone that has obviously done well for them through the midfield. Now, the next game to go through is Collingwood and Box Hill, 2:05 p.m. at Vic Park. Wow, it depends what Collingwood's going to turn out and if Box Hill want to get revenge for their loss last week. That was bad against North. Izzy, where are you going here?
I have no idea. I think both teams will be absolutely grumpy hours that they've lost.
Yes.
I think I think Collingwood are gonna start roaring up, to be honest. Just yeah, they've had the first 4 weeks under their belt. They're getting to know how they play. I think they'll get the win. Um, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that one.
For
Yeah,
sure, it's definitely me. I'm going to go the Box Hill Hawks. I think they'll stay in and get the job done. I think they'll win
yeah.
by 18 points.
It,
I think this might be not an easy win, but I think like a controlled win where they're close and then they just get away at some
yeah,
point. I feel like
I think
they
they'll bounce
should
back
be
very
achieving.
well. I think they'll both bounce back very well with with a very good game
Yeah,
to watch.
this could go either way. I'm still torn on this one as well. Now, the next one, speaking about being torn, especially if Bulldogs have AFLW players playing in this one, North Melbourne, the grand final rematch is at 2:05 p.m. on Saturday at Arden Street, Roos and Bulldogs. Where you going here? The rematch.
I can't go past. Or I don't know. Actually, I really
Mm,
don't know. I think I'm proper torn because I think North Melbourne are just such a well drilled side at this point. There's not been many questions other than that one loss that's been asked of them. So
mm,
I think it'll definitely be an interesting game to watch, and I think the Bulldogs are coming off, dependent on team selection as well.
yes.
Think that's what holds the key. I think if the doggies still stick with the couple of AFLW girls and they're really high VFLW girls, I think they'll get the win. But it's very dependent because I think
Yes.
with like players like Alana Barber in the North Melbourne side,
Mm,
absolute gun. Like she turns up every week. She puts in every week, and she's an absolute machine. So I um
mm,
I don't actually don't know. I don't
mm.
know who I'm going for. I'm gonna
So
play
down
with
the
the
middle,
white
go a
flag
draw.
here. Yeah. Or I don't think it'll be a draw. I think someone's obviously gonna get the win, but I actually don't know
All right.
who
All
it'll be
right.
at
We'll
all.
see. That's fair. I want to make a bold call. I'm going to expect that none of those AFLW girls will play for the Bulldogs, and I feel like, as I said before, we haven't seen them without the mass exodus of players that were on VFW lists last year who were very good, including their skippers leaving, Dom Carbone, and a few others. So I'm going to go North in a statement victory. I'm going North by 25 points. I think
Ooh.
they do it to Box Hill, who are well structured as well. I feel like they can do it to the Bulldogs if they're out of the AFLW players. So I'm going to got two margins here. North, there's no AFLW players. North by 25. So that's what I'll do there. And then if the AFLW girls play, I'll say the Roos by 5 points. But we'll see which one eventuates. Now
Interesting.
it's
Yes.
it's an interesting one. Now this may go towards one way. Casey hosting Essendon at Casey Fields, 2:35 on Saturday. Izzy, who are you going here?
I think from the performance that Essendon put in last week, you can't really go against them, to be honest. I think
No.
they're very well drilled, and I think they'll rock up. To be honest,
Yeah.
I think it's a hard ground to play out with the wind, and it always
Yeah.
gets either really cold or really hot. So it's very road ground to play out. But I
Interesting.
think Essendon will get the win.
Yeah, I think Essendon should get the win too. And I'm going to go by. Well, I'm going to go. Well, it's not really a bold call, but I'm going to go the Bombers by 35 points in a
Ooh.
cruisy win. Now, your old side, Port Melbourne, 4:05 p.m. against Geelong on Saturday at ETU Stadium.
Yep.
Where are you going here? Have you got a bit of a soft spot still for them, or?
Oh, I'll always have a bit of a soft spot for them. After the win they put up against Williamstown, I think it'll
Yeah.
actually be a hard game. I think everyone underestimates Geelong significantly. But Port pride themselves on holding a fortress at ETU. It's home ground. It's the solemn home ground. So I will go Port Melbourne.
Very nice. Yeah, I'll go Port Melbourne by 35 points. And the last game, it involves Sandy against Williamstown, 9:45. Oh, God, these time slots, I tell you, they're getting on my nerves, really. Williamstown at Sandy, almost in the morning. Well, it is the morning. Now, obviously, I'm not going to ask you who to tip because I know who you think's going to win. How do you fit? And I'll go, before you say anything, I'll go Sandy by 15 points. Now, how do you go against Williamstown this week, Izzy? What kind of players do you have to watch out for? What type of style do you feel like? What do you think you can do to get the win here?
They're a tough side, literally the toughest side. I don't think they've ever really given away since I've played in the VFL. They've never given away a landslide victory. It's definitely not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. And you know, they are the lowest disposal team in the comp, but they do it well. Like you really can't argue with them. They get it forward. They score goals. They're effective. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting. I'm going to keep lots of things under locks for the things that we have to look out for.
Sure.
Yep.
Yes,
Under lock and key. Yep.
Smart.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, they're going to be a very, very good side. I'm surprised that you're going 15 points.
Yeah.
I'd say no closer. I'd like a comfortable win because we've had some really freaking close ones.
Oh, yeah.
But
I know, right? Jeez.
yeah, we've had some close ones, and then but I hope if we play well, we should do what we know best. But they're going to be one of the hard team. They're the hard team.
Sure. Now, before I ask you some teammate questions before we wrap us up, so I do really appreciate you coming on, Izzy, as always. It's always an honour. Can you give us a little sneak preview of? I've had a few people ask me this. This is another reason why I'm asking this. When is the Boom recruit Sophie Locke going to be back?
Boots off. That's
Boots
what
off.
I'm going to say. Boots off.
Okay. Good. Okay.
Very exciting. Had a chat to her yesterday. It's looking good. We're not too sure of a time frame back. Think we're just making sure that it's not too early. Because definitely want her late into the year. And if we can, make sure she's absolutely firing, it'll be great. But she's an absolute legend to have on the field. Absolute legend of a teammate, and just she's explosive, she's exciting. Everyone loves watching her. So it'll be good when she's back. But I think her and the medical staff keeping her under locks because pardon the pun. They're keeping her under lock and key.
Now you're cracking jokes now.
Yeah. But she should be back relatively soon, I think, though.
Good. As soon as you said the boots are off, that's a great sign, and the progress is at least, no matter where it's going, is obviously made. Now, teammate questions is I always ask every person I have on teammate questions, and it's probably the most fun I have in an interview with anybody or discussion is asking teammate questions, because some people can be very open about this, and I love this, and I want to see where you go, and I'm hoping you do the same. Now, the first one is, who loves the limelight, the attention, the camera at Sandy, and they can't get enough of it, and they know what to do when a camera's around?
Melanie Bertuna. Yeah, or Jade, Tuna or Jade. They're two that absolutely loves camera. Um, yeah, teetering on which one loves it more, but they always know what to do, whether it's
Do
funny
they?
or if it's doing a good pose. So they never
Okay.
get caught. They're never the one that has the bad photo up on review Monday. So yeah.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned photos because you just gave me another thought. Team photo day, Izzy. Who loves to make themselves look $1,000,000, even though they may already look $1,000,000, but they just want to overdo it or carry on or exaggerate or whatever it is.
There's a couple of them, and
Okay,
I get
go on.
behind it so hard because I don't have the effort to do that. Um, Imo Slev, Imogen Evans, she loves to make
Oh,
sure that she looks um absolutely 100%.
mhm.
Yeah, we had our little bit of a media day earlier in the year, and a whole bunch of the girls were in the bathroom. We've got this little mirror at Sandy, this tiny little mirror. All the girls were in
Yeah.
the bathroom doing their hair, making sure their eyebrows look good, and yes, Slev was definitely there doing that. But I think, look, I could name half the team, to be honest. They all love
Mm,
to know that they look good. So yeah.
that's good. Now, who would Google themselves and watch back their own highlights?
Googling and watching back own highlights are different things, I reckon.
Okay.
I funnily enough Google myself a lot, just out
Yeah.
of laughs and giggles. But I think um watching highlights, I don't know. We don't all Most of us don't really like to chest bump it too much. Like
Okay.
girls will nearly clip out other girls' highlights and show them
Okay.
around. Like they're sending through like VAFA highlights of different girls that are, kicking snags and things like that. So
Mhm.
yeah, like I don't think we've not had anyone that's, gone around with I kicked 4 goals, like here's all the looks. So I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, that's maybe some people secretly easy. They love doing. They just don't want you to know that.
Yeah. I was gonna say I am fines master, so maybe that's why.
Oh, so you
Yeah.
can't. I'm glad you brought that up too. So you don't cop fines, then, do you?
Oh no, I've copped a few. I've
Oh,
copped a
you
few.
have.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I once accidentally slept in February a Saturday run session. I had my alarm set and slept through it.
Oh,
Woke up, was like, why is it this bright? So copped a $15 fine for that. So yeah.
mm. But
And I
you
was
can
very
revoke.
happily,
You
yeah.
can revoke it though, can't you? Because you're the fines master. You can revoke it. Get rid of it.
Nah, can't have anyone questioning my authority. So I'm like, yep, if I'm
Ah,
fined, I'll cop that. So then they can't question their fines.
no.
We need to get
Okay.
the
Good.
we need to get the fund up a bit more. So
Fair enough. Now, if you were stuck on a deserted island with teammates, Izzy, who would you be bringing and not bringing, and why?
pure entertainment, I'm bringing Sophie Locke.
Hmm.
100%, I'm bringing her. She would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Bringing Ellery
Morris.
Morris.
Yeah. Hmm.
She's in the Navy. I feel like she'd be a good one to have.
Mm.
Um, who else? Um, how many am I allowed to have?
As many as you want. It could be the whole lot. It could be
I was gonna
half the
say,
team.
yeah, yeah.
Any particular?
I'd reckon those two would be the main ones, and then
Yeah.
maybe actually I'd bring Tuna as well. Just absolutely funny, hilarious.
Yeah.
I need humor to be able to get through it. Yeah, all three of
Okay.
them hilarious. So yeah, I need humor to get through it.
Anyone not making the cut and getting demoted?
I don't think so. Nah, there's no one that's
No.
not making the cut. Put it that way. Yeah, there's no one
Okay.
that's not making the cut. It's just whoever's stuck there, we're just gonna have to survive. And I reckon we do
Okay.
pretty well.
Okay. I tried. Well, I'm going to try again with another way here. Favorite teammate, Izzy?
Favorite team? Oh, I've got a couple.
Okay, go on.
I have good chats with everyone. I find no one really carries any really like everyone talks to everyone type of thing. Like had a really good chat to Sophie
Yeah.
Locke last night and then had a really good chat to Chloe Bailey on the way home from Geelong and then me and Chloe Sultry very close, relatively close, so that's nice. But
Yeah.
literally like I'd say, yeah, I can't really put my finger on anyone that I'd say is my favorite because
Mm,
I talk to everyone and yeah, don't
that's
really
good.
yeah, I work full time as well, so I don't really do any lunch catch ups or anything with anyone, so I can't really say I've
Yeah.
yeah, got any out and out favorites, but yeah, I think
Mm,
everyone pretty much yeah, does their part.
uh, nice. That's good. Coach's pet is Lockie got a coach's pet or someone that wants to be the coach's pet?
Nah, he calls out anyone who wants to be coach's pet. He
Oh,
hasn't
does
called
he?
it yeah, no one he's not the type of coach to really like, I mean, every coach has their favorites, right? But I feel like,
Yeah.
he doesn't really show it.
Okay. Well, he's
Um,
either very good at it or it doesn't have one.
yeah, exactly. Or yeah, I can't really yeah, there's no one that really like is on the heels of the coach. Like no one's biting any ankles. So yeah, like I've not really seen it. Like there's girls who want to do extras and things like that, and say come earlier. Like a few of us come earlier and do some extras, but then some stay
Yeah.
later because of work and things like that. But yeah, no one really like
Mm,
is next to the coach all the time and trying
okay.
to weasel themselves into selection or anything like that. It's pretty
Okay.
yeah.
Very good. Now, who? Now, this is going to be very hard for you to pick this, I'm sure. But I'm only giving you one choice here, not three
Okay,
or two or six. Who
okay.
is the best player at the club? Is he?
Who's the best player at the club? Oh, there's
Yes.
different types of players though.
Yeah. Or whatever one tickles your fancy to choose. That's how you can roll.
I think at the moment you really can't argue with Erica Fowler. Um,
Yeah.
the effort that she puts in, week out, rocking up to training, or rocking up to game, whether it's after work or, she's a paramedic, I'm pretty
Mm.
sure. So, she works in pretty crazy hours. So the fact that she's
Mm.
able to turn around and rock up to a game and know that, yeah, she's still going to put in 120% effort in, even though she's only had a couple of hours sleep, like, you really can't argue with her. And then she's, hitting girls lace out as a ruckman. So, yeah, I think at the moment, she holds herself in the probably one of the best ways I think a player can hold herself. So
Mm.
yeah, competitive, but still, yeah, knows that line, which is amazing. So yeah, I'd say at the moment she's probably the top one.
Very good. Underrated teammates, easy that fly under the radar and don't get talked about as much as you feel they should. Maybe someone you haven't mentioned, maybe someone you have.
Mm. Um. Oh, that one's hard. There's a few of them, I reckon.
Mm. Yeah.
I I reckon tune her in the forward line. Personally, I know
Mm.
I've had a couple of chats to her recently, and both two pressure forwards. But yeah, she does those little things, those little pressure that on
Yeah.
the back of someone 'cause she's really quick and gets there, and then ball's coughed up, and then we're back in the forward 50. And she probably doesn't get the goals and all the accolades she deserves, but she's definitely there, and she's
Mm.
definitely putting on all the pressure that you need. Like if she's not doing that, they're 80 meters out. Um, yeah,
Mm.
definitely underrated. And then I reckon DJ, she had one of the best games I've seen her have on the weekend.
Yeah.
Both in the back line. So she did
Mm.
get a bit of a mention this week in review, which is good, but her effort was sensational.
Mm.
Like she was chasing down girls and, you know, crunching tackles and making sure she's giving a good disposal and, really respecting the footy. So yeah, those two I reckon would be
For sure.
yeah.
I mean, there's two players, oh, three players. One will probably be obvious, but two others I feel like to some people they may not know much about them, but should after their season so far. The obvious one for me is Imogen Evans. Obviously, someone that's done very well while she was at Collingwood, and as you mentioned before, is in that midfield just being very very dominant and very impactful. And the other two, well, Chloe Salter, we spoke about her as well. I thought she's had a really good
Oh,
season.
100%.
Winnie Lang, another one that I think was her
Yeah.
first game for this year. One of those rare few that stayed after last year, and I thought she had a terrific game on the weekend against Geelong. And then the other one who's probably been consistent all year is Lily Skinner. I think she's another one that's
Oh, yes.
been very good.
100%. I think positionally she's impeccable, to be honest. Playing wing last year, I think it's a beyond thankless role, especially I think, last week we played at Icon Park. It was a
Mm,
hard game for the wings. and she was running all day. So yeah, especially the wings. I think they don't get the accolades that they deserve really ever.
Mm.
And also whether you get 2 disposals or 24 like when he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they're probably the most important players on the field. So, like, if they
Mm.
don't do their back run, if they don't do their help side run, then, like, we're caught out. So,
Mm.
without them, I think or if they don't run ahead and, get behind the goal and get a cheeky little kick in or be an extra option, we're not scoring.
Mm.
So and we're not questioning defence, so they're always a thankless role and thankless
Sure.
players. Yeah.
I can't believe I've mentioned all them names I mentioned. There's someone who's in a very similar position in terms of moving states. Tashan Whistle obviously played a few games for East Freo at the start of this year, then's come across with Sandy, done well for herself. Someone that I've known in terms of covering the VFLW competition last year and talking to a few players and interviewing half the comp in the VFLW. A lot of them spoke highly of Tash, and I was surprised wasn't drafted. She seems to seamlessly fitted in pretty well as well.
Yeah, no, she did. She came over, month ago now, and she did a
Yeah.
quick little, she was obviously already did her preseason. She was already talking to the club, and then came over, did a few weeks of training, and then was up for selection, to make sure that kind of fitted in with the group and everything like that, to make sure that,
Mm.
there was no questions over that, but she's fitted in seamlessly. The fact that she's not the biggest player on the field, but she's taking contested marks overhead, it's amazing.
For
No,
sure. Now,
she's good.
definitely, I agree with that. Two more for you, Izzy, and I appreciate you coming on. The two teammate questions that I think that can be very controversial, and some would love it, some may hate it. Now, if you were to name 3 teammates, Izzy, to form a music band, rock band, whatever band you want to call it, who would be in that band, and what would the band be called?
Oh, Zebras in the Wild,
Oh,
is the band name. Zebras in the Wild,
okay.
yep.
Yeah.
And then obviously myself. Um,
Yeah.
I would just be a hype person. Not and a very bad dancer, so can't really do much else. Um, I would say Chloe Sultry. She's very funny. I reckon she'd be good. She'd get behind it, I
Mhm.
think.
Yeah.
Um, who else? I think we did a stand-up singing competition at our
Yeah.
camp, so I don't know why I'm struggling with this. Um, I think Ellery Morris.
Yeah.
One of the young girls, Piper. She'd be
No, proper
funny.
feeling. Yep. Yep.
Yep. She's absolutely hilarious, so she'd be good. Um, yeah, I'll go with those ones for now. I reckon there's a couple more that I'm missing, but yeah,
Mm.
it'd be a very funny band.
Seems like it definitely would be in the last one for you. Is an interesting one. It's very similar to that. Now, if you were to have someone be or anyone, it can be as many as you want, were on a reality TV show or any form of a TV show, is number one, what would the show would they be on, and who would they be, and or even some they fancy themselves to go on a certain show, but they're just not going to get on it, or they probably wouldn't get on it, or anything like that. Who would that be, and what show?
Feel like there's a few girls in the team that want to go on Love Island.
Oh yeah, go on.
um, um, no, I think Big Brother's a big favorite. I think that one's always easy to say you want to go on. I think that'd be a funny one to go on.
Yeah.
I think um, sorry, no, all good.
How you're?
Um,
Yeah.
Imogen Evans would be funny on Big Brother. Survivor would be a good one. I think a couple of the
Yeah.
girls would be absolutely hilarious, and they'd get it. Like Grace Hodder would be amazing on Survivor because she's an absolute machine and she'd just like blitz everyone. Um, I reckon those two would be the best ones.
Izzy, we could keep going for hours and hours and hours, but I really appreciate you coming on for the
That's all good.
first ever. You've made history. You've been the first ever person to be on a live podcast show at the same time. So Izzy, it's been a pleasure having you on. Good luck this
Perfect.
week, and
Thank
thanks
you.
for coming on.